The 41st. 41st. Have to say it twice because I botched it once. Then I pissed myself off. And now I have to remind myself it's the 41st, not the 21st. This is how I am. You get this. But what do we get in this Saturday night's main event? We got 5 things that happened on this show. Five. Going after a little bit of Booker T, the 5-time world champion of WCW. I'm not going to tell you the show was trash, but I am going to say I was quite surprised. Not in a good way. I don't know if I'm going to be agreed with by everyone else, because there's a good chance they will not. The 4 matches we had, only one match looked fine. It was an IC match, and that was the Dom with Rusev and Penta. There was no problem. But if you look at the other 3, either they were botchy or they got tanked. And I'm like, what's going on here? What was I watching? Now, if this was Denver, Colorado, I don't remember where they are actually. I forgot. If it was Denver, I can understand if they were the Mile High. Is Denver, Colorado the one where they did the Mile High? I don't even remember. But you can tell me below. If they were in the town and the city that is a mile high and the air is thin, I can understand they were being botched and getting tired quick. But if that was not it, and you looked at the Cody and Drew, you looked at what happened with Tiffany and Jay and Punk, they looked easily tanked. And then they were botchy. And I'm like, what was I witnessing here? It was like, with all 4 of the matches, only one was good and fine. It wasn't a spectacular match, but it was okay. It was like either they did want to do the job, but they were a mismatch. Or maybe they didn't like the storyline and it clashed with them, which made them not really feel comfortable what they were doing in botch. But then that makes no sense either. So let's go with the first match. Cody versus Drew for the undisputed WWE Championship. This was about over 2 to a 2.5 year storyline with Drew, where he can't get it done. Either the bloodline interfered with him, either it was Punk who was interfering with him, either it was anyone and their mama getting in the way. Jey Uso, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, Sami Zayn, it made no difference. Everybody was in his way where he could not get a title. And I said this myself months ago, that the last match that was supposed to be not WrestlePalooza, the one before that, they needed to end this with Drew. He needed to go in a new direction. He can't keep losing and some type of screwy ending. It will get old very quickly and it will suck. And now, what do we get here with Cody Rhodes? Cody and him had a feud. Cody and him have had frustration. This SmackDown is when the contract signing was understood, and if Drew is in the ring with if Cody gets counted out or DQ'd, he gets the damn dub. Well, no, he didn't. You see, I'm botching here myself, because I'm like, Drew McIntyre should have already changed a while ago. He should not be the way he is. He should have already changed. And this just proved my point, because now you had to do DQ and a count out to give any chance for Drew to win against Cody Rhodes. And yes, they're going to say, well, guess what happened? The title was in there and Cody used it. That makes it even more apparent Cody's turning heel. It makes no difference if Cody turns heel or not. The point of the matter is this. Drew McIntyre, from last year and the year before that, to maybe halfway through the year before that, has been screwed over and over again. And there's been some type of screwy ending, of unfairness. And now, after going through Damian Priest and everyone else, this should have been a culmination of him either winning, or, in this situation, if he had not won, this just proved my point that he should have already been turned into something else months ago. And now we got this. And let's make it very clear. Was it done correctly to make it look like Drew has been screwed over again? Yes, because Drew brought in the title. And was the psychology, let me make this clear. The psychology of the match wasn't bad. They did look botchy most of the time. And I'm not saying that Cody didn't try to fake his knee problem. He could have actually had a knee problem, but I don't think he did. I think he faked it. To try and make it like it was some type of problem. Because it did look botchy, particularly once he tried to get past the ref the second time, did the cutter. It was obviously wasn't hurt that bad. But then you see the ref getting nailed. Then you see him just sitting there waiting because he still has the piece in his ear, being told just sit there and wait until we're ready. And then Drew brings in the title, doesn't get it done, and then gets DDT'd by it because of Cody Rhodes. And now he loses again. What does this mean? This is a kicker. What does it mean? Because we've been getting this over and over and over and over again. Yes, he won the title for 5 minutes. Well, not won the title. I'm just saying when it comes to Punk and him, and Seth and him, and the Bloodline and him, and Jay and him, and Jimmy and him, and Roman and him, and Cody and him. It's done. I just repeated the same people. I can add in Sami Zayn. I can add in anyone else you want to say. But now Drew is finished. He should have been finished months ago. Please move him away from this character. Not the storyline. The character needs to change. The character is finished. He's been doing the same character for nearly a year or more already. And it's been the same thing. He just loses because of circumstance. It has to end. Moving on. The match that I knew was going to end the way it was. I did not expect it to be so botchy. Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill. She's still showing the scar above her eyebrow where she gouged herself when she hit that steel steps. I'm going to tell you this. The beginning of the match was semi-alright. But then as the match went on, and you could see that Tiffany had to job a lot to make Jade look good. And this is the thing. I don't hate Jade. I actually still like Jade. I still do. But if you check how she really wrestles, she is not good. You would expect that she had improved by now. But she's not good. Is she a power wrestler? Hell yeah, she is. How many power bombs and throwaway slams did she do? She do, 4 throwaway slams and 3 power bombs. And eventually did a Jaded, and she won the match. And for Tiffany, like I said, she worked her ass off to sell everything that she was taking. Those power bombs are no joke. They will get you after a while. She took 3 power bombs. I think it was how many throwaway slams? I think it was 3 or 4 throwaway slams. And then she had to still deal with getting thrown out of the ring and tossed around all over the place. And she still made it look generally good. You can see, and even the commentary team said you can see the difference between Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton. That was not good. Not because they're trying to make it look bad, but they can see that there is a difference between the two. Because when it came down to selling more, it had to be Jade need to sell more to make it look good, not just to be powerful, but she didn't really sell that well. And Tiffany, she showed power. She showed that she can take it, she can give it, and she can lose well. And you may not like Tiff. You may not like Tiffy time. But I can say that she has developed into a good pro wrestler. And Jade still seems like she's stuck. This is where she was when she was in AEW. Let's be honest. Jade was stuck with a title that was just brand new, had no prestige. And she only went up to about here. Then she went to WWE. Then she worked by herself, and then eventually worked with a little bit of Bianca, and she got herself here. Then she went by herself because Bianca can't wrestle because she hurt her hand, and she basically went to about maybe here. As champ, she's here. This is middle of the road. I'm sorry. This is not about how powerful she is. This is not about how beautiful she is. This is not about how she can talk. This is about her performing in the ring because she talks decently well. She's a damn good looking woman. She has the look of someone that should be a main eventer, and she will be a main eventer. But if you really compare her to the other wrestlers that's on the roster, and understand, I don't say pro wrestling in the ring is the whole thing of what makes a pro wrestler. It's not. But it's important that you have the fundamentals and that you can make it good. You gotta make it look good. You don't have to be the greatest wrestler. You just gotta make it look good enough, and you can compensate with your personality, the way you talk, your understanding of psychology in the ring. Yes, power is important. To be strong enough to lift your opponent, no matter if you're a man or a woman. The way you dress. Look, Jada's like that. She's damn good looking. But you have to at least have some good fundamentals in the ring as well. A lot of people always tend to forget this, that this is not about all of it in the ring. It's a combination of multiple things, but you still need to develop it. And the way it looks, after being here in AEW, and after being in WWE all this time, now to getting the title, she's like here. She wasn't total trash in AEW, but you can tell she was green as hell. And now she's here, and I'm like, that means she's an average wrestler. That's strong, but an average wrestler. And everyone is saying that she's the most hottest shit. I'm telling you the truth. As someone who actually likes her, as honest as I can be, she's okayish in the ring. But that okayish in the ring doesn't qualify her to be a champion. Because she needs more. She needs more than just that. She needs psychology and the ability not to botch so much in the ring. You could tell while she was trying to do her moves and then getting frustrated while doing them, she was botchy. You need to be more focused. You need to be more precise, at least enough that you don't hurt your opponent, which luckily she didn't. But honestly, she's average now. I was hoping she'd be above average. I didn't expect her to be a main eventer, but she's average. And yes, she has a great look. She's physically beautiful. She has all the cock diesel muscles. She can even talk to a certain extent. But all that together doesn't feel like it compensates for her work in the ring. Yes, she's physically so strong that it does do something. That's all I can do. I'm just saying, let's move on. Before we go to the final match, let's talk about John Cena. Now, John's match, December 13th, is the final one. We all know this. But the question was, who was his going to... Who? This was very interesting. They kind of repeated what he had already said months ago in a already interview, I believe, where he said, I cannot keep going as I am unless I'm at 100% peak and I can keep up with everybody. If I'm not, I'm done. And I'm making it clear, I'm done. I'm not getting back in the ring again after this. If I can't keep up with them, I'm just going to let it go and let them have it. And that's what he said in that pre-recorded message he left. And now, this Raw will be a 16-man tournament. Now, this will be interesting. I am interested in this. You would expect they got someone ahead of time, and one of the people of those 16 is picked probably already. Unless they get hurt or something happens, they already got their pick. But at least they are having a tournament for the last match of John Cena. The last opponent will be chosen from those 16. I'm actually curious to see, will they give this to a new wrestler? Will they give this to an established wrestler? Would he give this to one of his old foes? And now they've also he said, that it's not just going to be from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. It could be from somewhere else. In other words, TNA. And here's where it gets interesting. Who from TNA would be the most interesting person to face a John Cena? Who? Could it be Moose? That's a possibility. Give Moose, who has been dedicated to TNA when it was Impact Wrestling and had nothing, he could get it. That would be something. Could it be Eddie Edwards? That would be something. Give it to Eddie. Hell, give it to Steve Macklin if they even went there. It's interesting to see that they would go there. I would love to see this. That maybe a Moose would be allowed to win it. If they're showing that they care about TNA and want to get them over, let one of their wrestlers, their established wrestlers, have this moment with John Cena. That either Eddie Edwards, a Moose, who else would be good? I know he was already working in WWE at one point, and that's Steve Macklin, but maybe Steve Macklin could get it. Or Eric Young could get it. Wouldn't it be interesting that we've never seen Eric Young ever face a John Cena? Wouldn't it be interesting to see Eric Young get that? Hell, that would be something. That would be incredible. To finally give Eric Young, who made Sanity in NXT, who's known from NXT. Nikki Cross was part of her team. It would be great to see that he was allowed to come back one time and wrestle an icon as much as himself. Let's make it very clear. Eric Young has he's been there practically at day one in TNA. If he was the one that was chosen to go up against John Cena, who has made his mark, 2 20-year-plus veterans, that would be perfect. At least by my humble opinion. And now finally, here's where I'm like, are we going to go there? It's the best way to say this. CM Punk versus AJ Uso. I didn't know who was going to win, and I wasn't trying to think about who was going to win. But I was wondering, what were they going to do after this? Because Seth Rollins was supposed to hold this title, but he got injured, and he's out again. Because I think it was out last year, the year before. I think the year before he was out. Or the last year. I think that's when he had the MCL injury. I think that was last year he had an MCL injury. I could be wrong, you guys can tell me below. I just don't remember offhand. But he was out before. He managed to heal up and came back, and now he's out again. This is what, in the last 5 years, I think he's got about 3 injuries in the last 5 years. Last 5. It has been hard on him. And this makes people question, can they really trust him to stay healthy while being in the main event? Because as much as we may love him, he keeps getting injured and getting injured and getting injured again. It makes it hard to trust that we can put him in a important situation. That's what WWE is probably thinking. Even though we want to, if he keeps getting hurt like this, we can't do it. So, here's the deal. Was this a good match? It was okay-ish. But I'm not going to lie here. I didn't like the pair up. Jey Uso against CM Punk did not feel right. I didn't feel like CM Punk dealing with Jey was the right pair up. Did they do a good segment on Friday? No. Not really. Trying to bite off of Yeet, and it didn't feel right. It didn't really feel like that was Punk's stick. And I know Punk likes to mess with people's heads, but in this situation, it didn't feel like it was the right way to do it. And then we get this match, and either one of them or almost both of them tank out near the end of that match. Tell me you didn't see how CM Punk almost couldn't even lift up Jey Uso. Yeah, Jey was willing to sell, and he did. But also you could tell Jey was getting tanked too. What the hell was going on? And there were a few botches. Yes, there were. But CM Punk, at one point, after he gave a second GTS and it didn't work, you could see CM Punk's body trembling, shaking. Not that wasn't a joke, guys. His body was literally, for a few seconds, because he was so exhausted, he was shaking because he was exhausted. His muscles were spasming. And I'm like, what the fuck was going on? What the hell was that? And then eventually we get the final part where we get another GTS to the face. And then Punk finally wins. And I believe this is a dedication match because the original trainer for Punk, when he did try MMA and got his butt kicked, I know people wouldn't say you remember he got his butt kicked. Yes, I know. They showed an entire special. They showed him trying to get in the ring with a new MMA fighter, and he got his butt kicked. Yes, but the guy who trained him passed away, I think, recently in the last couple of weeks. I think the last few days or last few weeks. I don't remember. And that hurts. My heart goes out to the family of that guy and to Punk because that was his friend, legitimately his friend. But he won the title. Now what? Punk wins the title. Now what? Here's the problem. And I've said this for months. For more than months. I've said this for more than a year. You have focused WWE. Well, Silver Lake WWE. I haven't said it lately, but it's Silver Lake WWE that is still TKO that runs everything for it. And Ari Emanuel still gives and barks orders, even though he does not own the company anymore. He has made it very clear, keep everything the status quo. I don't want new people there. Just keep going what you got. And that is what has happened. Triple H and at one point Vince only cared about the bloodline. That's it. And at another point, only cared about Judgment Day. And now look what has happened. Because both these groups here have been the only thing developed and left alone. Everybody else below, this is where they're supposed to be. Everybody is either here or here. And since, guess what? The bloodline doesn't exist and Judgment Day doesn't really feel important, all that's gone, and even though the vision is here, they're here. And everyone else is under that, underdeveloped. Even Drew McIntyre, who just went up against Cody Rhodes and lost again, as much as people love Drew, he's using the same angle with the same character for the last 2.5 to near 3 years. No development for anybody. They've just been left the status quo. And it shows. The only true thing that is here, I just said it already. John Cena is retiring on the 13th of December. And now they're going to have a 16-man tournament to see who's going to be his final opponent. That's the only interesting thing. That's it. And I'm like, we don't have much, do we? We don't. And I know people are going to see this, I have not done any TNA reviews. Not for 1 week, for 3. Why? Fade to Black, Bound for Glory 1. Fade to Black, Bound for Glory 2. And then the Hardys. Old recordings of the Hardy and the Hardy Compound. There was no point to review those because I don't do stuff like that. I review the shows, not the documentary, and not older episodes of what was shown when they used to do it. So for 3 weeks, we got nothing from TNA. And now they have maybe a month and a half before Christmas. Before, guess what? When they don't do anything again. And WWE is not much different. They let their people go home. So we got maybe a month and a half before everything is ended. Before we get nothing in late December except maybe pre-recordings, there will be no new content. And I'm like, for the rest of this year, next to Survivor Series War Games, what else do you got? I don't see anything from Solos, people. I don't see anything from Judgment Day. I don't see anything substantial right now. Yes, Ilya Dragunov is interesting doing the open challenge because this actually makes the best sense. Sammy's open challenge was good, yes. But seeing Ilya and how intense he was, particularly with Nathan Frazier, I did watch the match. It was a brutal match. Seeing how rough they were to each other. And I was worried that Nathan Frazier might have concussed himself when he landed on his head. But this is all we got. And I think that might be the title. Is this all we got? I'm not saying I didn't like Saturday Night's main event. But then, who is Punk actually going to go after? Or better, who's going after Punk? Is it Drew again? Is it going to be Drew? Are we actually going to have Drew go after him again? It's rehashing again. We need something new, and it doesn't feel like it. But this is just me. Peace.